Avast ye hearties! It's all hands on deck. Batten down the hatches, raise the mizzenmast, set the staysails. Weigh anchor! Get in line, you filthy freebooters! We're off to adventure and glory! And if any of you mess with me, the dread pirate Dusty, I'll be sending y'all to Davy Jones's locker. Welcome to episode 112 of Critical ReRoll, where we talk about the last episode of Critical Role, because I did not write the number down.
Arr, I be just your first mate.
And I'm Landlubber Ben because I know nothing about pirates, so this is gonna be great.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna leave this eye patch on for the entire
Do it.
time.
Good.
And then
Also, this is my good eye, apparently, I found out, because everything is really fuzzy.
go get your eyes checked, kids.
I could put on my glasses, but that would look...
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I wish you had a monocle, actually. That would be perfect for right now.
I do have a monocle, but
Not
it's
prescription.
somewhere...
Is it prescription monocle?
No,
Well,
it is
well,
not
then-
a prescription monocle. I should get a prescription. Okay, we're already on.
Anyway.
So we're talking about the last episode of Critical Role. We get a lot of piratical nonsense that starts coming in, but we first of all we deal with the aftermath of them doing ridiculous stuff.
Oh my god.
Where we all ended the episode going, okay, they're horrible people, and then so they really try at the beginning of this episode to be better. They start processing how did all that go? It's like they have a little session, and then they literally just go back to the being not the best people in the world. But they really tried.
Yeah, when they had all these conversations at the beginning of the episode talking about what they just did, I was like, oh, maybe they're actually gonna look at their lives. Maybe they'll actually do things to improve, and maybe they'll try to make themselves, I don't know, just better people and not steal ships out of nowhere. Yeah. Well, the way that they then reconcile this is by getting a crew for the ship that they stole, and renaming the ship, and also beating up the original people who were on the ship, and forcing them to work for them. So, not really.
I mean, they did fix the guy with the accident.
Did they though? I think Matt just gave them that one. I think Matt saved their souls a little bit. I'm sorry.
I thought that too.
When you say oh, they tried for a little while to be good. No, I mean I feel like they keep saying they're going to be good, but it's important to follow up your words with action. And
they definitely talked about being better a lot.
The only one that I feel like is consistently still tried to actually be good, not just talking it, but also trying to walk it, is Caduceus, and actually weirdly enough, has been
not actually. Yeah, consistent. I feel like not. There have been several occasions where not has been this is just crazy. What are we doing? It's so funny that they're their little goblin rogue has to call them out on their shit.
Goblins who are not by normal race,
standards.
Creature standards. They're they're just little chaos machines, and and she has had to be you guys are a little too much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, you said that Caduceus was one of the few ones. He had a freaking existential crisis over it this episode.
So good. I wonder if there was a little bit of talk between him and Matt. Because he didn't really describe what Caduceus was doing, but then Matt was kind of you see him sitting over in this corner, up to his knees, there's definitely something wrong. I wonder if Taliesin was yeah, Caduceus is having a...
I think Taliesin...
To answer that, actually, sorry. On the Talks Machina episode, I actually got a chance to watch it where Taliesin was on it, and Taliesin was saying on Talks Machina that Caduceus was not doing well. And I think was Matt the other guest?
I didn't catch that one.
I don't remember, but I know that if like anybody caught that, they would know that Caduceus is not doing well, because he basically said in a Talks Machina episode, no, Caduceus isn't doing well right now, and I'm not sure where things are going to take him next episode. So that got everybody kind of like, oh. So, yeah.
But I mean, you guys, like, it's just, I don't know. When you're talking about, Liam was the other guest, apparently, according to Ook. Thank you, Ook. Talking about, like, being better people. We had immediately Caleb threatening poor Axehead guy. I have his name written down, but Galen. Poor Galen.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Galen. I love Galen, actually.
He was so dark about it. I don't know, like, he was like, oh, you know, I'm really tired, but I'll stay up and do work. Like, what? Torture? Like, you're into... And then, and, like, Bo just torturing not torturing quite so bad, but, like, poor Marius, like, punching Marius to wake him up. Yeah. He lost a tooth, which she took. She ripped off his sleeves, and when he was like, what am I supposed to do? Throw them into the, like, all of this is completely unnecessary. What?
Last week's note still applies.
Yeah. Yes. For those of you remembering that this is an audio podcast, for those of you that can't see, Dustin is holding up a note from last week that is basically shouting, what the fuck?
I'm also wearing an eye patch, audio people.
Yeah. We did go over that with the whole monocle talk and everything.
Good clarification.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's definitely interesting to see how they talk about being better and then they aren't. But there are people that are legitimately taking steps to at least help, and I think not Caduceus, and even Jester somewhat is trying they're trying their best. I feel the other Ford I think is just right now focused on the boat. I don't blame Ford because he's currently back on a ship, but now is like the only one who actually has experience being on a ship. So he's kind of in a different mindset.
I think they're surprised by their own actions because Ford and Bo have a conversation. They literally, Ford and Bo have a conversation where they look back on their actions and they were like, oh my god, I can't believe we literally went to the dock just to like talk to a dude, and then this shit happened, and then we just thought we were gonna do this thing, and then we did this. So it's like they're like blood drunk in the moment. Like, I'm not sure. Well, yeah. Like they keep looking back and analyzing it in a very like...
Yeah, Ford brought up that point, like talking about like, I've never had this power before, and it's kind of like you kind of get kind of drunk on it. Like, it solves your problems. Well, solves your problems. But yeah, like, it is the magic a lot of the times that ends up getting them a little, into situations. But they do, once they get everyone sort of squared away and they get Galen up and feeling a little better, he does give them a little bit of information. They find a cool little piece of a map. And so right now they're just offshore a little bit, and they decide to go out a little ways more. And then they kind of do some interviewing of Galen, the only crew member alive, who's now, the only sailor they know aside from Ford that can help them out. And we do get some information about Avantika, who is the sister ship, or the Mist is kind of the sister ship to Avantika.
Avantika's the captain.
Yeah, the captain of the Squall Eater.
Yes.
And that they were here to pick up a message from Marius, because apparently she's looking for things that are related to the sphere. And she may have found some on the island of Heckle.
Exactly.
R. The cavern of R.
Arg.
I didn't write it down because I was like, I remember that. I remember it, and now I don't remember it.
I'm looking it up. And
but yeah, so we get like some sort of like cursed island, and there's items there that she's looking for. So like this is like a main huge hook for Ford's backstory. Really, really good. And I'm super excited. And then they decide that they are actually going to do some sailing once they figure out that this. And it was really cool to see Ford or Travis like just start naming out names of like the places he's been in the map, because like we get a whole bunch of the Menagerie Coast Islands. He's like, this sort of looks like the Inky Talon Reef or Inkclaw Reef, or maybe this other reef. Yeah, it was really cool to see Ford Travis tossing out a bunch of that knowledge that he would have as a sailor.
Yeah. Though I think it also freaked Travis out to actually be doing this. As the episode went on, especially near the end, Travis got more and more like, what the crap are we doing right now? I know nothing actually about sailing. This was just a background I chose. So I feel like it really started to the fear of actually trying to be on brand almost started to take control. So I'm not sure how real that was, or if that was just Travis just being kind of done with everything that specific episode, which would be fine because they did a lot of ship stuff where Ford had to be the main person in front.
I like when they offered him Galen as a first mate. They're like, "This is Galen. He's your new first mate." Is that
how it works? I don't think so.
I like that consistently through the story, Galen explained himself to be the ship's carpenter, and that came in handy later.
It definitely did.
I love that.
Well, and then they decide they sort of make a decision like, well, maybe we'll sail there, and then Matt reminds them that you kind of need people on a boat if you want to like get anywhere. You need people that know how to run a boat. And they kind of talked about, well, maybe they should go like down the coast a ways, or maybe they should go to this area, or maybe I think Travis brought up, well, there's this port on one of the islands where we could get work, but it's like a big roundabout way. And so then they all decide that they're going to go head back into Nicodranus, only like across the city, which I was a little worried about because we really didn't know about what the docks were, and we knew that there was one patrol boat sort of patrolling back and forth, and but they decided that, okay, DM basically says, if you want to get like anywhere other than like spinning in circles on a boat in the middle of the ocean, you're gonna have to get a crew. And so they head back in. What'd you guys think about going back to Nicodranus?
I was like, what? No, I would have gotten out of there. I am actually a landlubber, and that pirates have never really interested me from even being as a little kid. So me as just like any kind of character that wasn't a sailor would kind of be like, no, let's just get rid of this boat. I would have wanted to just go down shore a little bit, like moor the boat and just run. that would have been my plan, because I felt like it would have been the best way, and they like wouldn't have left too many traces behind, etc. But I guess it worked out. I mean, it seemed to. Jess?
I was really nervous. Are you laughing because of my big sigh?
Yeah, I just like that.
I was really nervous for them going back, but it was a good reminder that several of them have illusionary-based magic. So we were able to, like, literally, Ford can turn into whoever he wants, Caduceus can turn into whoever he wants. And then we had Kayla being like, I'm a chubby little blonde Zemnian boy.
I'm a little Zemnian boy.
Don't make me run, I'm full of chocolates. And then even, like...
Basically Augustus Gloop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or, oh gosh, what's his name from The Simpsons?
Oh, there you go.
Gunter from The Simpsons. Sorry, and then just to, like, really cement, like, when Caleb had, like, messed up a little bit, because he asked a question that Ford had already asked, not came strolling in as a tiny little Captain Crunch. Like, how perfect was
real
that?
life Captain Crunch, which was just a really... I guess it would be sort of like a halfling, maybe?
Yeah, I guess so.
hat of
I
admiralty.
could see Captain Crunch being a dwarf too, because I imagine Captain Crunch is fairly stout.
Yeah.
No, I can see that. I mean, all those crunch berries go somewhere. Right?
But I mean,
you're not wrong.
Oh god, yep. So I mean, that was like, and even Matt was like just dying at that point with all of them, all of them being ridiculous.
I was super entertained by the entire like gathering of people. I thought that was probably the most entertaining part of the episode for me. Like, obviously, I loved the other parts, especially when they were talking about what they want to do versus what they actually did do, and etc. But it was super entertaining for them to gather it. Where was I going with this? Oh, Orly is wonderful. And I'm glad that when they realized they really needed a navigator to get that little piece of map that they were given, and try to figure out where that is.
I just love that as soon as I muster the strength to finish my breakfast.
Yeah, I definitely said it last episode I was on that I would listen to any book that Matt voiced, that read a book. Like, you could read me a book about like golf. Or, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of golf, but some sort of really boring statistics that I'm not a fan of. But if Matt did in that voice...
Hold on.
That voice is so good. It's now my second favorite voice.
Yeah, so...
I think it goes Victor, and then this voice are my two favorites.
So I'm so excited when he turned out to be a navigator.
I don't know, Caduceus. Pumat Soul is still high up in my list.
It's good, but I love this. I've always loved Creole. Just as like an accent too, and I love the little stutter flavor. It's just so good.
Yep, I agree. So I'm so excited that he's with us now, and like that he gets to be this like steadfast, sort of like wise voice for them to like choose to listen to or not, as they so, you know what I mean. But he's there to be this like sort of reasonable voice.
So he's the bard. That's the funny thing about this. It's like he may be a reasonable voice and a navigator, but he's a bard like by class, because this was the community created NPC that is actually getting a much bigger role probably than Matt suspected.
Yeah, for sure. So do you think we're gonna get to see the bard in him come out? Do you think we're gonna get to see him given some inspiration or anything like that? Playing.
Well, you know, because later in the episode he does talk about how he stays on the ship. He doesn't have to worry about going on this island. But I mean, they have a leaky boat. They may have to all get off. We don't know what's going to happen at the end, but we can get to that later. But they do collect a bit of a crew. We also get a fairly decent idea from Bo to do sort of a whisper campaign, because they don't know what happens or what happened after the dock situation. And this is my favorite part about this whole thing is Matt talks about like, well, yeah, there were bounties on these two guys' head. The guards are just really confused. Like, they thought they did. I just remember going like, wait, they did good? Like, so he talks about how there was a bounty. These two known criminals were dead. They don't know who did it. They assume the crew did it and then took off with the ship. And then there's also a poor blue tiefling girl who killed herself that they're still trying to find. They found the captain, and I thought it was kind of funny that they're starting this whisper campaign to talk about this is what I love about Bo. And she's like, oh yeah, the captain ran off with and then one of the ladies like, did they find his body in the docks? And I'm like, plan instantly foiled.
Yeah, I love the whisper campaign though. It's such a good idea for them to at least try instead of just let whatever Matt decide, because it means that they get some sort of say over when they come back what exactly sticks and what doesn't. I thought they were doing a great job with that. So but they actually get a crew together, which actually surprised me that they were able to get a functioning crew together to actually sail this boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I was just gonna say that Dizzy by Nature in chat said lol, and Travis wanted to hire a captain. And I think Matt had to explain it. Like, Matt was like, no, you don't hire a captain. You don't go like, okay, we have a boat and stuff we want to do. Now we need someone to like tell us what to do and give us money to do it. And like, that's not how it works. Like,
hi, we're just a boat of assholes. Will you just order us around?
As long as we get to go where we want to go.
Yeah, it's like you're the captain now, Ford. Congratulations.
Yep.
Well, I think even Liam did that joke. You're the captain.
Yep. Captain Tusktooth?
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, Tusktooth. Tusktooth.
I love it.
I like this. You gotta come up with a captain name. They gotta know what to call you. Tusktooth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like him creating his Grog name for the first time.
Grog Strong Jaw.
Works for me.
If you've actually, I don't know if you've seen the Between the Sheets episode with Travis. First of all, they're wonderful. Second of all, he was talking about their first ever thing, and he's like, I don't want to be overwhelmed with, like, when they were talking about starting with campaign 1. Just that one shot. I don't want to be overwhelmed with all the stuff I don't know. So let me just go for the easiest thing. And it's funny to see how much he's progressed as a player and character builder since then. Because now he's like,
he's one of the smartest characters, like most
captain on a
strategic.
ship.
Yeah, like I'm so glad he got to play Grog in the first one. I'm glad he got to take that time, be comfortable, sit in the back, you know what I mean? Like, do stuff as that sort of character, and I feel like it made him want to be this kind of character more, and I'm so... Like, we've said this so many times, like, it's so exciting to see Travis play this kind of, like, this smart... Because he is very smart.
Yeah.
And to see that played out.
You got to bake in the oven for a whole campaign and just absorb what everyone else was doing and just, sit back and be a dumb barbarian and just, go through the motions. And then now he gets to be like this super intelligent character who had a lot of information to help them out along this way. And then, they get all this crew. They actually set sail. Orally has a map. Oh, it can, like, the map of the Menagerie Coast. I can't wait to see, like,
the full version. One.
But when they put the one on the internet, and I was like, oh, man. I was all ready for that. So we learn a little bit more from... It's Uruk Hazel. Uruk Hazel.
You got it. You did
I got it. Because I remember it was Uruk Hai. It was how I kind of remembered stuff, and then it was like a woman's name, and like Uruk Hazel. We learn a little bit about Uruk Hazel. I'm just gonna keep saying it now, so I don't forget it. As like this cursed island that no one goes there. They set foot on it. It's like this heavy jungle. Some ancient magics or something like that happened there. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely got sort of like a Chult feel, like if anyone knows about the books that come out, the book before this last one was sort of like the jungly Chult. I can't remember the name of it right now. Tomb of Annihilation?
Yeah, Tomb of Annihilation.
Is that it?
Yep.
No, you're right.
Yep. 200%.
You're 2 for 2.
Yeah.
2 for 2.
I'm doing
You're
great,
so
guys.
good!
I'm on a roll.
Yeah, but I 200% like thought of Chult pretty much right away.
Yeah.
So maybe there might be some of that like island. I love jungle island sort of feels, especially because I'm in WoW and they're like this new expansion has like a jungle island and dinosaurs.
I was gonna say, so will there be
monsters.
dinosaurs?
Oh, I hope there's like dinosaurs and I hope Matt pulls in like a little bit of a Chult feel because I really liked, aside from that whole non-resurrection and tearing up character sheet game, I really love the Isle of Chult as a like environment. Super cool. And I'm excited to see this cursed island and maybe like a dungeon. Maybe there's a dungeon in there or something like that. Like we know nothing about Ford's like really backstory, and maybe this is like an old temple to whatever is his patron now. Like, I mean, there's so many amazing things, and we could go into a Ford cast.
Yeah. Well, since you brought it up, I wanted to talk about it earlier, but kind of went through, and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna like. But you started bringing it up again, so I'm gonna say it. All the talk earlier about Avantika's crew and how they're sort of into weird, creepy religious stuff, and they're like interested in, Ford's tummy crystal, just gonna call it.
That's the best name.
Yeah, it's the crystal in his tum tum, guys. See, that's where he collects them. He puts them in his tum tum.
The crystal of tum tum.
Yeah. So like, are you feeling like cult here? Are you feeling like could this in fact be a cult to Ford's patron, who he doesn't even know that well?
I mean, I do love a good cult.
Yeah, I was wondering that. But then there was also just to really throw it out there, when Jester started talking to Galen about the Traveler, he was like, "Oh no, not another one." And I'm wondering, was he saying like, "Oh no, not another like generally religious cultish person like Avantika," or has he met another Traveler fanatic in particular before? Like, because we do know from Traveler talking to Jester lately that he said he's trying to get his crew together. He said he's trying to get them together for a special event coming up. Like,
I know they glossed over that so quick, and I was like, was that just like a random
they went
thing?
through
Like,
it
oh,
so
no,
quick,
another...
and I was like, stop and talk about this, please! And they didn't, and I was very upset.
I was also like that too. I'm like, okay, wait, let's not go over, like, maybe he's just saying, oh no, another evangelical person, but like, also like, what if it wasn't? What if there's like a bunch? He's ran into another Traveler person, like, and then they just like went on their way. I'm like, but
And were they like
know more about the Traveler?
Were they like Jester though? Were they very pushy about the Traveler, kind of like Jester is? Like, is that like, because there's a possibility there for that sort of thing, or what? Like, but I do think it's more. I think it's more likely that. I love you putting your glasses on over your eye patch. Just for people not getting to watch right now, Dustin just put on his reading glasses over his pirate eye patch.
I know, so I'm supposed to be helping you guys help us the podcast along, just.
I just want to make sure everyone knows. But I do think it's more likely the other thing, that it's that he just meant generally religious people, in which case maybe he's referring to Avantika's crew, in which case I'm hoping Avantika's crew is please, is calling to Ford's patron, because that is an excellent story crossover right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it. Can I have it, please?
Right? And so we get them setting off. We get them an exciting way, too. They set off sail, but they decide to cut through, instead of taking trade routes, will take them a long time. They decide to cut through those uncharted parts of the ocean, which always leads to excitement, because this is D&D, and we know that the oceans are... I mean, let's face it, the oceans in real life are really, really exciting. There's lots of things. But in D&D, they're also filled with all sorts of crazy crap. And the chance... I mean, they don't run into it. Spoilers. But... let's just go through this part of the map where there's literally just giant tentacles drawn. Like, it's just for flavor. And we get the cool algae bloom, or the not algae
jellyfish.
Bloom, but the jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
That was I loved that image in my head, and I hope one of the landscape guys, the famous landscape guys on Twitter for the Critical Role art, I hope they do something with like a boat and like just the waves of like patches of these pastel colors.
Oh God,
that's super pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I love the thought of them, but after getting stung by a stingray in real life, I'm terrified of any sea creatures that sting. So
I've been stung by the little Portuguese, the long blue ones.
No, you have not. Those are really bad. A Portuguese man-o-war?
No, not the man-o-war, but
the Portuguese man-o-war is like smaller...
It's not the man-o-war, but it's like they have these really long blue ones, and they're in Hawaii, and I got stung.
Okay.
I thought they called them a Portuguese something, but it might be something different.
I'm trying not to side story about jellyfish right now, because I also have jellyfish side stories. But let's stick to them seeing the jellyfish. Did you see several people in Twitter were talking about the moment that was shared there between Jester and Fajordi?
Yes.
And how they she was like, oh, they're so beautiful, and I think he said something along the lines of, sometimes the things that are most beautiful hurt you the most, or something like that. And they shared this like little moment of her staring off at the jellyfish, and I think people were saying that they viewed it as like he was staring at her, and it was very much sort of like in the movie Tangled, when she's staring at the lanterns and he's just staring at the princess, but basically Rapunzel.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were having a shipping moment on the ship there.
Sha-la-la-la, don't be scared.
Oh, God.
Yeah, several people in chat are now singing different songs.
Singing, You got to kiss the girl.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez. There are some really good moments in this episode, that being one of them. I think another one is when we talked about Caduceus being not very he's really questioning things, but when he actually opens up about why he's so scared, the fact that his home is dying and that he thought this was what he was supposed to do, but now he feels like this was a mistake. He thought the Mighty Nine were a sign, but what if he missed the sign and now he's on a ship? That is so real, and it shows that. First of all, it shows the dynamic contrast between Percy and Caduceus. Percy being like, I may make mistakes, but I don't do it. Like he dwells on them in private. Caduceus is openly admitting that like he is overwhelmed, and this has just been a lot. Caduceus is such a gem of a character.
When we get a really, I mean, it's sad that we didn't have Ashley there, but we did get Matt role playing a little bit as Yasha, and also talking about always waiting for signs, and that was such a good interaction between the two of them, where they're like, well, maybe some, you usually, if this thing you believe in, if you really believe in it, they will tell you if you're going astray, like. And I thought that was a wonderful moment, because they're both very looking at their gods, and they both have interactions with their gods, and they kind of follow the life of what their god directs them, and that was a perfect little mix, because he started feeling a little. I think he felt a little better about that too.
I really liked that we had that one. We had Caduceus having a moment with Yasha, who he suits very well. I think, like you said, as she also sort of looks for signs from her god, and then we had him connecting a bit with Jester, who actually talks directly to her god, and that was a really interesting comparison. And he said, that he felt really he felt better after talking to Jester, but then we also had a little bit of him talking to not being religious, was very much pushing the but we're all in this together, let's all be there for each other. Like, she's very much pushing the party dynamic, and them being sort of she kept pushing them all together. Not is doing such a good job as group mom. I adore her.
And again, this goes back to my very early comments about not being super gung-ho about being a group, and not just letting everything that they've done be okay. That is Not's been consistently just was that really okay?
Yeah. I think Not has been...
Her moral compass is weird, but I love it.
Not has been really... is a good, really makes them look at things differently, which is so interesting. She's done a really good job of analyzing what they're up to, and holding the group accountable and stuff like that. But also I'm interested in, because Caduceus was saying how like you said, his home is dying. I really want to hear more of his story. I really want to hear more of I want to know just exactly because I feel like they asked a few times and we didn't get a lot of depth of what was happening with his backstory and stuff like that. We know all his family went off to deal with it, and none of them came back. So, what exactly was happening there? But when he's describing, he's like, did I leave home and I've been out here and it's just been so quiet, is what he said. So, does he actually hear messages from his god in the earth? And is he not going to hear them again until they're back to land? A proper, land... with trees and life and a forest? Is being out on sea too much for him because he can't get messages from his extremely land-based god?
Yeah, that was interesting. I liked how Matt brought up the flavor of okay, you guys been out here for a couple nights, and you're used to traveling and seeing different things, and it's just a straight expanse of ocean, and you start to feel unsettling, because I can't imagine being at sea for any length of time, because it's just, when I get seasick, and too, it's there's nothing to reference. I loved that sort of that unsettling feeling too, that sort of probably heightened the fact that it's been so quiet for Caduceus. Yep. Also, I love the idea of him talking to fish to be on the lookout, even though they're like traveling. Maybe if he had told the fish to like pass it on, maybe they could like had a fish whisper campaign that follows them
network.
along as they go. And then I thought about like D&D, like maybe you just have like a couple dolphins that you like just like, hey, yeah, we'll give you a bunch of fish if you just follow us for a while and keep a lookout. Like you have dolphin scouts, because dolphins can kind of keep up with the ship unless you're like sailing super fast. I don't know. I got a little too into the like talking to aquatic beings.
Mm-hmm. If they had a druid on board, they might actually like they might have been able to do something like conjure animals and actually do something like that, but they don't. I sometimes forget that Caduceus isn't a druid, but instead is a cleric. Because like he gives off such a druid vibe for me sometimes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But like like it makes sense with the god he worships too, as a sort of. So on one of the nights, I can't remember which night it was. I think it was Travis who had like the perception check or whatever for something that is on the mast.
Yes.
And flies off. And then we get harpies. Which makes me wonder, like, harpies, there must have been like a closer island, or like did they just flock through this area? And because what was cool is they went straight for the sails.
Yep.
That was
to kind of like make them like come to a dead stop. And I thought that was a really interesting like flavor of like these creatures that spend their life on the sea, like, and maybe like opportunity attack ships like this. Like, well, we know, and I think harpies are fairly intelligent. And we got kind of like a siren song from one of them too, which I wasn't expecting either. This was a neat little, and they didn't have a map or anything. There wasn't any cool map or a boat. It was just like a quick little theater of the mind harpy attack. And I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I like it when they do theater of the mind sometimes, even though, because it shows that you don't need incredulous maps to be, or incredible maps, not incredulous. I pick wrong words that sound very similar. To play D&D. I think sometimes people see Critical Role and be like, wow, you have to have all these maps though, that's a lot of work. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you can do it, but if you're not used to it, you could get like what Matt was when he had to stop for a second and make sure he had everyone accounted for. It's a lot to do.
Yep.
Theater of the mind as a DM, especially because you're gonna have to keep an idea of where everyone is. But yeah, that was a quick little attack. They had a few tactics of picking up some crew members. Obviously, all the crew members tried to hide because they're not fighters. They're just boat people. They would rather live. And even I think Matt had made a comment that, well, you don't get advantage because they're not your ally, they're your employee.
And they're not trying to fight, so that's even...
Yeah, and so I think the harpy picked up a couple people and with the intent of like dropping them off. That's always a scary thing too for me. Anything that can fly just picks you up and just...
As somebody who's played a flying creature that's gotten picked up by another flying creature in midair, that's even worse. Oh god, it's scary.
And I saw some people commenting on Twitter about how come Yasha didn't use her wings to fly, but Yasha's form of oh my god, ASMR. The wings are just decoration. the wings don't do anything. So like that wasn't really an option.
Yeah, because we see a lot of different references for those wings, but in like the description, they're like skeletal wings. They're not really like fly.
Scary wings,
spooky.
not fly wings.
Yeah.
From Liam Craig in chat. Thank you. Correct. They're more atmospheric than anything. They're spooky wings, not for flying.
They're Halloween wings.
Yeah.
As we were about to
But it's all about presentation, not practicality.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I do like. I think that her entire aesthetic is great. which we have talked about before, I'm sure, on this podcast.
Yep.
The Harpy fight is interesting because it's theater of the mind, but honestly, not too much happens. They are able to save everybody, but it's overall, if you're looking for a little bit of hack and slash, which sometimes after that much role playing, you kind of need just to kind of decompress and to roll some dice.
And that's like that. It's good to have that. It was nice and quick. It was a little, you get a little crunch in the whole because it was mostly just an RP, and you still want to, as like a DM, I imagine, you're on the seas. You still want to make it like it's not always safe. I mean, this is fantasy ocean, so yeah, you're gonna run into some problems. And so they get through the Harpy fight, and then they arrive at their location and have to start playing Operation. Don't touch the sides.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. No. That I already have like anxiety just from driving down the middle of like a highway sometimes. Just trying not to hit the. So this like just thinking of trying to drive a boat between reefs and not hit something. Oh,
well, especially because like boats have like I've driven. We had a family boat when I was a kid, and like I never got licensed for it, but we would just drive it out on the lake all the time. And boats, you have to plan ahead because you get drift. So it's like you have to like think and react and know where it's going to list and know when to react to that. And like just in the imagine of like a big boat like that trying to get through these narrow channels of reefs.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that. I actually have a license to drive a boat, which I just got last Tuesday.
And you're a landlubber. And
I'm a landlubber. It's weird. But I've driven a motorboat, and it's a lot different than driving a car. Like, sure, a lot of like the steering is the same, but you gotta think so much more ahead.
Yeah, because fluids
are weird, man.
Well, and they really had to rely on Orly, which was really I'm really glad. It's so good that they had Orly with them, because obviously they got a benefit from having a navigator, but also like, and he had to like literally basically always be talking with Ford, who is now the captain, who's never been a captain before. So that was all fun and good, and I don't know. How did you guys think? Did they do better than you thought they were gonna do? Not as good as you thought they were gonna do? Like,
they didn't do as well as I thought they would do. There was a lot of bumping and scraping, and I've been in that area where you end up scraping against the rock in a boat, and the anxiety of that, especially the longer the scrape lasts, you're like, ugh. And I can only imagine the sound. Like, I'm a very imaginative guy, and so like the image and the sound and just like everyone, that tension of everyone just sort of like standing there and like waiting and like listening to the like, oh boy. And like in a ship like that, you'll be able to feel all of that. It's just like, yeah, this is a ship, but we can also become not seaworthy really quick. And I did love that they didn't do well, because it made for like a really exciting shit. We're taking on water.
Yeah, I mean, but luckily, remember the poor Axehead, who they luckily didn't kill. Galen.
Sad that he has to have that.
Galen, I had to remember his name. Yeah. Galen was a carpenter, and that worked out really well for them after they damaged their boat. Like, and it was a really well done little scene where, basically like Ford went down with him, and he's like trying to do it, and he's doing a bad job. Whoever went down with him was doing like a bad job, and he's like, "Move over, I'll do it," and like fixes it with his amazing carpentry skills.
Yeah. The also MVP to Caleb for the little tiny hut that saved their lives.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good idea, and I like even how Matt was like, "That's creative. I'm gonna let that happen." Like, sure, like that was super like interesting. Like, I love, as a wizard, because we all know I love wizards, I love thinking of creative ways to use spells, and that was a very cool way to kind of use the immense tiny hut to maybe staunch off some taking on water and sinking a boat.
they used a lot of different resources at their disposal, luckily for that, and it's really good that they got a crew before attempting to do this, because otherwise
Oh
things
man, that would have
a
been.
lot worse.
I am very glad that Matt sort of stressed, like, you guys aren't going to be able to sail a ship by yourselves. Get a crew. I mean, it's also lucky that he kept the They kept the carpenter alive. Like, it's really clutch that Galen's axe didn't hit any major organs.
The brain?
Yeah, only the most major of organs.
The big thing is, like, even though it did hit the back of the skull, she did cast Spare the Dying very quickly. So.
Yeah.
They do make it. They do make it through. They see Urukhazel. They also see another boat.
With all its guns pointed, cannons pointed at them.
Yeah.
Let me pick a little in there.
And like boat races aren't that exciting because you really can't like turn corners really quick. It's basically just, and he's like, we're gonna just go straight for the island, but they still had like 3 miles, I think, or something like that. And he's like, okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna, and especially when the boat started turning broadside and opened up one of the things, and they're like, oh right, cannons are a thing on big giant, and this was what, a 2-mast ship? I mean, this was a big ship.
Yeah.
Did Matt describe the cannons at all though? Like, are we talking cannonball gunpowder cannons? Because are we talking crossover with the other campaign? Because had we seen we had not seen cannonball cannons. We had seen arcane cannons. On the flying ship, there were like arcane cannons.
Oh right. No, I thought those were more like, were those arcane cannons? Or were those like spears?
Those are I thought those were more
Oh,
catapults.
ballistas?
Yeah, I think they were ballistas.
Okay, so is this our first time seeing gunpowder cannons?
I think so.
Well, we don't actually know what they are.
In Hupperduke, if they described any of the building of stuff there, but I mean, we know. I thought there was some sort of mention of like working on trying to make bigger cannons in the last campaign towards the end, but I don't know. Maybe it was in this. The problem is some of these things all meld together. But
I'm curious.
Yeah, I think this might be our first. Like that probably changed Exandria's naval boats, all that sort of thing. The invention of these cannons on ships and things like that. I bet. Be very interesting to see how that plays out. But we do kind of end the episode with 2 boats rowing their way over from the main ship. And we're going to get some sort of pirate parlay. Do we think this is... I mean, we know Avantika's here. Mm-hmm. Is that this is most likely Avantika is what I assumed.
Are you going to say that... Is this going to be like a Tortuga, like a full pirate base with like a bunch of pirates? Or do you think just Avantika is there? Or like...
There's a lot that could happen.
Lots of pirate... Like Pirate Island? Or just one pirate at this island?
Oh... We know what Kate wants.
Pirate Queens! Kate is shouting in chat right now. Yeah, sorry, Pirate Queen. But, yeah. How enthusiastic are you still, Kate, when it's like a Pirate Queen cultist? Like, is it still...
I think that's still
up there?
Alley. Yeah, that's definitely up there.
Very.
Thank you, resident Kate. We need Kate Cam. I vote. But, oh jeez, there's a lot of things that could happen in this next episode, and it's gonna be live, guys.
Oh man, and that means it's gonna be.
Are they going to be in costume? Yeah. Are they going to be in costume?
Hope that it's nautical themed. I hope it's pirate themed costumes. I really want it to be.
Yeah.
I'm glad finally people are catching on that I switched my iPad.
I caught it, but I couldn't say anything. Like
I wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah.
Be nervous about Sam's costume for the live show. So you guys think at least Sam?
I'm always nervous about.
Will
Sam's
be dressed
costume.
up. You guys don't think everyone might have a little bit of pirate flair?
I think they might be inspired to do a little bit of pirate flair. I mean, we're in New York.
Yeah. If anybody's seen pictures of this wonderful theater, it's gold everywhere.
Oh.
It's
this will be
so pretty.
This will be. I'm so happy for my friends that get to go to it. Some of
Yeah,
them are in chat right now.
yeah. So we're gonna have two of our hosts going. We have both Herc and Kate going to go see it. Yep, Kate's screaming me. So they're both gonna go. Even though I'm so fucking close to the place, I'm mad because of course it's on a Thursday, and that means school is both that day and the next day.
Yeah.
So next time, but yeah. So we'll have two of our hosts there, but neither of them are going to be ready to be on talks the next week.
I'm hoping for a little bit of pirate themed dress. I'm hoping for maybe the Savantica, because I'm pretty sure they're going to keep the fact that Ford is like knows about these things really close to their chests. If it is Savantica, but maybe she conscripts them into doing the dirty work on the island.
So maybe, do you think there's going to be like? Do you think they're at this island not just because it's a good hideaway for pirates, but because there's something to do with the cult here? Do you think there is a spot where if Ford puts his tum-tum crystal up to, like if he just rubs his tum-tum on it, if like the doors will magic open? Like, okay, you guys can't see anyone listening to the podcast, but both Ben and Dustin are done with me right now.
Crystal. Okay, sorry.
But I hope they come prepped. Like I really hope that they come dressed up. If not dressed up, then I hope they at least come ready with like, you know, pirate alter egos for all of them to pose as next episode.
Just what if he steps foot on the island and it just
his tummy lights up.
It just starts glowing. Oh.
And then you can do the Care Bear stare or something like that.
Oh god.
The thing is, I mean, we're gonna have to deal with them trying diplomacy, and we all know how the Mighty Nine are at diplomacy. We'll see how this parlay goes.
I'm not sure that the crystal's still actually in his tummy, even though that's where it was absorbed. I think it may have gone somewhere else. It's never confirmed that it's still there.
I mean, it's just like the sword. Like there's not a sword sitting in him.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, I'm wondering if.
But it's fun to think about it still rolling around in there.
No, I get it. But I'm wondering if there's ever gonna actually be a reaction, or if that was just totally consumed by his patron and is no longer there. I'm wondering if there even will be a reaction. Like, even if I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if the crystal is completely gone. And we don't know, but
but like even if it's completely gone physically, it is sort of magically, arcanically a part of him. Like he absorbed it for like because his patron wants him to consume magic stuff, right? Like it's kind of like part.
Or they're always after me, cloven orbs.
Oh god. Okay, bye guys. That's it. We're done.
Well, that seems like a great place to end it. Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined the podcast forever. Like I told.
Nope, that's it. We're done.
Like I texted Abernathy, they'll never let me host again.
It's okay. I already quit at least twice today.
So I mean, this should be a very exciting live episode, and I love that this gets to be a live episode. Dangerous cursed jungle island, unknown pirate cults. Ford backstory, because I just love Ford backstory. I hope everyone can tune in next week when we talk about whatever crazy shenanigans happened at the live show.
Episode. That will be exciting.
Well, folks, I think we're heading into port now. It's time to dock the ship.
Oh, thank the Lord I can get off this ship.
The SS Critical ReRoll. Thank you all for sailing on this adventure with us. I have been the Dread Pirate Dusty.
I was your first mate, Jess. I don't want to do this voice anymore. Or go _JG.
And I'm Lumberman, and I'm getting the fuck off this ship.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much. Bye. Oh my god. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.